Yet if there is the influence of a greater magnetism, if the Siddha Manjari is constantly bound by the force of greater attraction, greater sweetness, and greater beauty, she can easily deflect his absolute unlimited wantonness. That is Sri Radhika. Without her shelter, who could stand a chance? Radhika, the supreme Sarup Shakti counterpart of Sri Krishna, is also Vibhu. She too is unlimited, as are her many Kayavyuha confidantes. As such, Sri Radhika, on the basis of her transcendental preponderance, can effectively ward off the rapacious cupidity of her lover when she deems it necessary to play hard to get. So too, under the auspices of Radha, can her privileged Vibhanangsa Kinkari, through her bond of affection to Radha, reinforced by her Sakhi Guru's potent directives which totally accord with Radha's wishes. On the strength of Radha's prevailing influence and her rigid disinclination to breach Radha's trust, the Manjari boast the requisite authority and prerogative to say no to Krishna. Resisting, she may address Krishna in the following words. Quote, "Hey, you Lumpata, control your senses. Forget it. I'm not yours for the taking. I belong to Swamini. I'm just her insignificant messenger. Merciless boy, be kind to me. Let go of the edge of my sari. Look, the sun is setting. I have to go to evening artik now." It is not your fault that you cannot understand my friend's message and you slight her valuable gift. You are just too unintelligent to understand. Manjari telling you. Krishna, why do you raise the fearsome Cupid's bows of your eyebrows in that way? O Krishna, O Moon of Braja, if you neglect my friend and instead try to make advances upon me, I shall give up my life on the spot. End quote. In this way, the jiva, though very insignificant, also facilely acquires the power to purposefully play hard to get. At this juncture, the Parakya influence displays another noteworthy facet. Unattainability on the basis of Radha's dominion appreciably places the Sadhan Siddha Manjari in a much fairer light. Due to the inaccessibility of Radha's maidservant, which generates an increased fascination within Krishna's heart, the value of the infinitesimal becomes greatly amplified. Magnified. Something easily obtained can be easily taken for granted or abandoned. Something rarely gained, even after considerable struggle, becomes highly treasured. Krishna can easily overlook, disregard, or cast aside the minute jiva. What is the appeal of an insignificant spark compared with that of an unlimited fire? Radha and Krishna are said to be like a single ghee lamp with two immaculate, brightly blazing, infinite love flames. They are ontologically one soul, yet inconceivably they morphologically manifest as two differentiated, synergistically infatuating and infatuated, limitlessly lovable supreme personalities. In the contest of their infinite sublime love infatuations, neither admits defeat. Their absolute love play is perfect and complete. Yet, we see that they, in the course of their leelas, from time to time, make themselves scarce so as to augment each other's worth before one another. Sometimes Krishna disappears to increase the gopi's love for himself, and at other times when, for instance, she finds that Krishna has already started the Rasa Leela, before her arrival to the Ras Mandal. Radhika, unseen by anyone, indignantly goes into hiding across the Yamuna to mope a Mansarovara lake of tears. No one likes to be taken cheaply. Everyone likes to be appreciated. Why? Because the same psychology is originally there in the Absolute. If the infinite counterpart aspects of the Absolute see the need to actively expand each other's estimation of one another's worth, then how much more of such necessity exists for the relatively inconsequential Vibhanangsa Jivas in their approach to the Lord's reciprocal relationship. The plight of the Jiva is such that her finitude hardly adds up to very much in face of the unlimited fancy of the Absolute. Oversimplifying the matter, some would suggest that the unlimitedness of Krishna's heart can certainly accommodate and magnify even the smallest of the smallest spark of prema. Although that is not incorrect, still it may be objectively observed that when the Jiva spark becomes especially splendorous by dancing in proximity to Sri Radhika's unlimited dazzling Vama Madhya love flame, Krishna's appreciation of the Jiva becomes extraordinarily enriched and distinctly sustainable. That is the sum and substance of Hare Krishna Mahamantra Sankirtan. Do not bother yourself to become too much infatuated with Krishna. Rather, act in such a way that Lord Krishna may become ever more infatuated with you by dancing and chanting in the proximity of Radharani's infinite love flame. Radharani, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. You know, that is Sankirtan. Mahamantra Sankirtan means the soul is dancing in the proximity of Radha's love flame. What happens? You see, it's described how the spirit spark has fallen away from the fire, you know, and sometimes lands on dry grass, sometimes on wet grass, or sometimes in water and is completely extinguished, compared to Sattva-gun, Rajagun, and Tamo-gun, you know, like that, when he falls into this material. Karanam guna sangasya sarasat janma yonishu. So when the spirit spark falls away, then the natural brilliance of the soul is diminished terribly. But when the spark comes into the proximity of the fire, then the spark begins to glow brilliant again. So if you have a fire, a big fire, that looks very nice, like if you're sitting around the fireplace. So when you're watching a fire, fire looks nice, but what makes the fire look nice, even more nice, is when there are many sparks dancing around. Then the fire looks like it's an ecstasy, doesn't it? Mm. If there's no fire, then okay, it's nice. But if there's some sparks, you know, dancing around on the top of the fire, then the fire looks very, let's say, extraordinarily beautified by the sparks. Sparks are insignificant. In of themselves, the sparks have practically no power. But when dancing in proximity of the fire, they serve to beautify the fire, right? Similarly, the fire itself is beautifying the spark, because without the fire, without the proximity of the fire, or without being in the fire's proximity, the spark, you know, wouldn't have its natural resilience, or radiance, I mean to say. You know, so therefore, Sankirtan means to dance in the proximity of Radha's love flame. Radha's love flame is also represented in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his performance of Sankirtan. So dancing in the Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like at the Keturi festival, Narottam Das Thakur's chanting was so powerful and pure that the whole Panchatattva, including Lord Chaitanya, came to dance in their midst. And in fact, anyone who's chanting Shuddhanam, can elicit the presence of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, at least in the form of their holy names. So therefore, the presence of Harinam and Harenam, Haranam, Madhanam, means that by many devotees dancing and chanting in proximity of the holy name, the performance of, or the holy name becomes glorified, right? And at the same time, the natural Krishna consciousness, or you can say that natural street disposition of the soul, which is feminine in quality, which is pure ananda, pure bliss in the matter of selfless service to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, becomes illuminated in the heart of the devotee. That street disposition becomes illuminated. In other words, enlightened. The spark, by associating in the Sankirtan performance, chanting Mahamantra Sankirtan, that becomes enlightened and becomes scientifically acquainted with his own natural street disposition as a minute, let's say, eternally separated aspect of that counterpart feminine, aspect of divinity. Krishna.